Pre-arrest, however, no Nigerian dared criticize the almighty Emefiele. Judicial Whistleblowers Network, hereinafter GUWN, exposed Emefiele's corruption regarding forex fraud of over $3 billion via letters written to Emefiele on or about April 1st, 2019. On May 15, 2019, the day Emefiele appeared before the Senate for screening and clearance for his second tenure, I was arrested in my Maitama office. I was detained for 101 days for defamation of Emefiele's rotten character. The then Chief Judge, the then Chief Judge of FCT, Ishak Bello, refused to hear my bail application. DIG Michael Gwizi verbally denied me bail after I fulfilled the administrative bail granted to me by his men and the 4th CID. The maiden edition of Judicial magazine, launched on April 6, 2023, my birthday, is currently in circulation. On page 41 is a letter from the Federal Ministry of Finance's Whistleblower's Office to the Federal Ministry of Justice, caption, read, investigation report on alleged depletion of Nigeria External Reserve by MTN, IBTC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, in collaboration with CBN officials to the tune of $25.6 billion. In it, GUWN was recognized as the whistleblowers, and the Ministry of Justice was requested to furnish the Ministry of Finance the details of the legal action taken towards the recovery and remittance of the sum of $25.6 billion. Pages 32 and 37 are letters from Godwin Emefiele-led CBN to MTN and its bankers, fining MTN and its bankers aggregate of $8.1 billion for the same fraud allegation of $25.6 billion. Certainly, Emefiele's report is self-serving because CBN officials were neck deep in the fake certificates of capital importation, CCIs, the predicate offense which originated from the CBN on which the fraud allegation is premised. I hereby posit that the correct figure is $25.6 billion, that is $25,698,363,716.40, which was investigated by a seasoned bank fraud examiner. The collateral loss to Nigeria if Emefiele had pushed for the prosecution and implementation of the extant CBN regulation is $25.6 billion times 10, which is $256.9 billion. The actual and collateral losses total $282.6 billion. Readers may pick up a copy from vendors on the streets of Abuja, and I have some copies here. The magazine is replete with all pertinent documents GUWN is in possession of evidence germane to 101 trillion naira stamp duty fraud allegation against Emefiele, AGF, Malami, etc. Emefiele was caught on tape along with some CBN staff lamenting the loss of 500 billion naira within the CBN. Emefiele was caught on tape calling former President Buhari and his friends thieves, which is a classic case of the chicken coming home to roost or the kettle calling the pot black. Emefiele's partisanship, naira redesign, and crime against humanity. On May 3rd, 2023, Judicial Whistleblowers Network occupied the CBN in protest of the naira redesign. In the history of Nigeria, there has never been a CBN governor who, while holding sway as CBN governor, ran for any political office. Emefiele's daring move to run for the highest office in Nigeria is unprecedented, a complete deviation from the global norm, a flagrant disregard for the sanctity of the Apex Bank, universally, and a wanton desecration of the exalted office of the Central Bank Governor. The reason we are drawing the reader's attention to Emefiele's incestuous relationship with politics and his thirst to be Nigeria's president as the first wrong is because this act or this wrong delves into the mindset of Emefiele upon which other acts rest. In other words, because Emefiele was nursing the ambition to become Nigeria's president when he assumed office, Emefiele opened the CBN vault to bankroll President Jonathan's election in 2015, which he lost, that is Jonathan. Emefiele opened the CBN vault for President Muhammadu Buhari's men after Buhari won the 2015 election, as captured in a recorded conversation in our possession in which Emefiele called Buhari and his friends thieves. Emefiele opened the CBN vault to bankroll President Buhari's 2019 election. In 2023, given the favors Emefiele did for Buhari and his men, Emefiele boldly came out to run for president without President Buhari and his cabinet, who he called thieves in the recorded conversation, questioning such grave and unprecedented conflict of interest at best or illegality at worst. Emefiele's mindset to become Nigeria's president ab initio, when he assumed office, is the reason behind Emefiele's thirst for monumental amassment of wealth, as demonstrated herein. Wealth he used to oil the law enforcement agencies and judiciary in order to silence anyone who criticized him. When Emefiele's plan to become Nigeria's president failed, Emefiele unleashed crimes against humanity through financial hardships and debts against the masses as recognized by the Supreme Court. Nigerians will recall that on October 26, 2022, Emefiele announced that new Naira notes would be introduced to replace the 200, 500, and 1,000 notes, and that the redesign will take effect from Thursday, December 15, 2022. At the unveiling of the new Naira notes at the State House on November 23, 2022, Emefiele told newsmen that the existing notes will cease to be legal tender by January 31st, 2023. Emefiele introduced the new notes, albeit no one had access to neither the old notes, which was not a legal tender, nor the new notes. There was extensive global reportage on millions of people in Nigeria queuing at banks for days to access the new notes, either through ATMs or through cashiers, only to meet ATMs or cashiers without cash, or ATMs and cashiers dispensing meager cash of 5,000 Naira, which is less than $10,000. This cruel and unusual punishment unleashed on the masses in Nigeria led to numerous deaths because people faced with clear and present medical emergencies could not afford to pay medical bills given Nigeria's cash-based system. People died from anxiety and exacerbation of underlying illnesses due to lack of access to cash. Households could not function due to lack of cash to buy groceries. Construction workers, tollways, masons, carpenters, electricians, etc., who have no bank accounts, hence accept cash payment daily, were starved to death due to lack of funds to pay them. Businesses were crippled. On or about March 3rd, 2023, the Supreme Court directed the CBN to continue to receive the old notes in conjunction with the new notes. The court held that the directive for the redesign of the new notes and withdrawal of the old notes without due consultation is invalid. The court also condemned the disobedience of the court's 18 February order that the old 200, 500, and 1,000 notes should continue to circulate alongside the new notes. That the broadcast of 16 February 2023 that only 200 notes should remain legal tender made Nigeria's democracy look like a mere pretension while democracy is replaced with autocracy. Quote unquote, it is not in doubt that the president refused to comply with the order of the court that the old 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes should continue to be legal tender. The court said, quote unquote, interestingly, there is even nothing to show that the directive for the release of 200 naira notes was implemented, that the policy has led to scarcity of currency notes, bringing untold hardship to millions of citizens in an economy significantly driven by the informal sector with a large proportion of unbanked persons. Given the Supreme Court's order calling the policies surrounding the new notes undemocratic, autocratic, and recognizing the cruel and unusual punishment the policy has caused and is still causing the masses, we conclude that Emefiele has committed crime against humanity, that is the Nigerian masses. We hereby call on the international community to take cognizance of this crime as recognized by Nigeria's Supreme Court. Emefiele unleashed financial genocide on the masses because he failed to become Nigeria's president, period. When the whistleblower policy was announced December 15, 2016, I paid a courtesy visit to former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, and she told me that they were domiciling the whistleblower office at the Ministry of Finance. Well, I didn't quite like it. I even showed her the whistleblower office in the US, how it has to be independent and all that. But I still commended the administration for even coming out with such policy. So regarding this particular issue of $25.6 billion, I did submit it officially to the whistleblower's office headed by PAMSEC Dikwa then. So you see a letter here signed by Dikwa transmitting the document to the Attorney General's office to investigate, recognizing us as the whistleblowers, to investigate and recover the funds. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, that presupposes that I worked with the right agency. All right? Does that answer your question? Where is the guy? Sifon. Okay. I want to make sure he's satisfied with my answer though.
You made that's a reference to the previous, and also something of what you say is retinue of allegations. This particular instance.
Right.
Have you offered or elected to maybe assist the DSS?
You know, when you say assist, I just gave you an instance because you do have a whistleblower office. So when you have whistleblower information, I mean, everybody hears them every day, you take it to the whistleblower's office. In this case, they will not direct it to the appropriate agency. They directed my information, I mean, very robust information, to the Attorney General's office. So that was where it died because they never invited me, even if I know the Attorney General one-on-one. So you can't just walk to, the way it's been harmonized, you take your information to the requisite agency and they'll go from there. Now, other cases, you all were put to the TV on August 26, 2015, when I took EFCC to the Senate. From there, again, nobody picked it up. I had to take the matter to court. So you can't really force any law enforcement agency to take your case up. You know, so, but with the whistleblower office being set up, you just take your information there, and they will know where to channel the information. All right? Any other? Are you satisfied? Okay. Now, the second question is from Mr. Kunle. Were you denied bail in police custody or? Yeah. When I was arrested, as stated clearly, I was given administrative bail. I was asked to pack my things to go. As I was about to leave, former DIG Michael Busy sent for me and said he wanted to know me after introducing myself. He verbally denied me my bail. So I had an altercation with him, really, that was 2019. I said, this is 2019 Nigeria, not 1919. you cannot verbally deny me bail that you put up level 16. He's alive. I'm taking him on, really, on that. So, after that, I was railroaded in court. Then, the former Chief Judge, Ishaq Bello, I was brought before him, and it was on a Friday, I remember. And after my arraignment, he now said he's going to have a bail ruling, I think the following Wednesday. From then, the matter was kept sine die. Whatever I'm saying, you can fact check. You can go to Sahara Reporters. There should be a report George Ugo writes from prison, from Kuje prison, and laments his detention. So I had to, I think it was on August 16, thereabout, when the Chief Judge sent for me. He didn't even have the case in the court. It was in his chambers, and now gave me bail, transferred the case to another Justice Halilu. But as fate would have it, the conspiracy to sentence me to 7 years, and I met another activist, IG Wala, who Halilu sentenced to 7 years at Suleja prison. So I wrote a petition against Justice Halilu because he was caught bragging what he was going to do to me. So when a judge becomes personally involved in a matter and biased, that is all I need to show. So that petition was so weighty that he was asked to remove his hand. And of course, till today, the charges, we've been to court, they don't even show up anymore. So when I come out to say that there was a conspiracy by Emefiele, the judge, the police, to do me in, I know what I'm talking about. This is Judge Ugo. I know what I'm talking about. So I guess I hope that answers your question. Right? The third one is, okay, why is the press briefing directed to, see, the charges here, when I wrote Godwin Emefiele, I want you to read this very well. When I wrote Godwin Emefiele, I wrote Godwin Emefiele because he was the head of CBN. The forest fraud allegation we detected were squarely under his purview, not Buhari. Same way when I took EFCC to Senate, even if he involved what happened from Ribadu, whatever, to Faida Waziri, to the person who's, when you say the box stop at your desk. So I took EFCC to Senate, but I had to include Lamode. So let him come there and say, this I didn't do. But even if you didn't do it, as a head of law enforcement agency, you have the power to investigate your predecessors. So that is how it was. But in this case, everything I wrote about was under the purview of Godwin Emefiele. Now, going forward from the forest fraud, the certificate of capital importation fraud, the $25.6 billion, Godwin Emefiele himself wrote a letter. I published it here. This magazine is so robust that nobody can shy away from responsibility. Godwin Emefiele wrote a letter. In fact, my friend Showore was celebrating on Sahara Reporters that his activism forced Emefiele to bill the MTN $8.1 billion. I called Showore and said, no, my brother, it is not $8.1 billion. I have the evidence, it is $25.6 billion. And I took it to the whistleblower's office. So for him to have written and acquiesced to the fact that MTN and his bankers owe $8.1 billion, that is not Buhari, that is Emefiele.
Is it not curious?
Yes.
That in spite of this overwhelming detail,
Yes.
evidence,
Yes. country, and what I like about Nigeria as opposed to US where I grew up, there is no statute of limitation. There is no statute of limitation to crime. In US, you have 5 years to bring up any crime. We know we are Nigerians. We know, that is why I started my statement by saying that people that are coming out now about allegations of Emefiele, why didn't they do it when he was in office? I already said that. I criticized him and came out with evidence against him while he was in office, more to the charging of me being detained for 101 days. So even when people call me, oh boy, you have, no. I have what I have. I don't need to join issues with you. Let me concentrate on what I have. I published this while he was in office. He was aware of it whenever. I don't look, my brother. When you are doing the work we do, you don't need to go through proxies. I was a contractor for EFCC. I brought electric fence into Nigeria when I severed my relationship with them. In fact, at the time I started fighting them, there was a letter Faida Waziri wrote to President Jonathan to release about 1.4 billion naira to my company. I stopped that prospect to fight them. That is the kind of person I am. I don't shy away from such things. So my fight against Emefiele is not because he's arrested. It has been ongoing. These are the people that we went to protest at the CBN about the May 3rd, about a month ago, why he was in the office there. So I'm not here because he's arrested. I'm going to lead another protest to DSS to make, in fact, if you are talking about what I mentioned Buhari here, because the other issue of crime against humanity, that involves Buhari, and I mentioned him here. The Supreme Court mentioned him. When we take up that matter in International Criminal Court, we're going to include Buhari. Because that particular act has to do with Buhari's directive too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not scared of anybody at all.